Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everyone. This is your girl, Christal Jordan, and welcome, regardless of when you are seeing this, to Married at First Sight, Christal's Recap. This is episode 3. Episode 3 from Married at First Sight. I said, you guys, I'm going to be recapping every week. So if you don't catch it on Saturday, sometime it may be on Sunday, but every week we're going to recap Married at First Sight, just so that I can stay up on what's happening. Because jumping in at the end of the season, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to talk about this show. And I hadn't done it consistently. And so I want to make sure, because I love Married at First Sight. It is literally one of my absolute favorite shows. So I was like, you know what? Let's make sure that we're always on top of the Married at First Sight conversation. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, my name is Christal, and this is From Christal with Love XO. Hope you are enjoying the content here. We are talking about love and relationships. And the idea of moving from reality TV to real love is one that is interesting to watch and definitely one that we see played out in Married at First Sight. So I don't know if you guys have been watching. Please chime in. The chat is the most important part of these conversations because I want to hear what you guys think of the show. Hey Tisha, hey Cece, I want to see what you guys think. Please let me know. We are basically, all the couples have gotten married at this point except for one, and that is Ben and Morgan, and they have not gotten married because Ben has COVID. And it's crazy because art imitates life. I don't know what you guys have going on in your communities, but here it's like every other person I talk to, someone around them has COVID. So that is consistently, how things are moving now. Hey D White, thank you guys for joining. You guys know we are here to talk about Married at First Sight, episode 3. I'm excited to get into this. Like I said, Ben and Morgan are not going to be a part of this conversation, at least not a part of the conversation with the couples, because Ben had COVID. So he and Morgan have not met yet, which gives us an opportunity to really focus in on these other couples. Now, what I thought I wanted to do today, because we are just about finished with the weddings, right? We're just about finished. We see everyone except for Ben and Morgan has gone through their ceremony, and now we're going to see what happens at these honeymoon nights, on this honeymoon night, the wedding night, what is going to happen for these couples. Before I make my predictions on that, I want to pick my favorite wedding dress from this season, because I want to do that every season. But I think for me, and probably a lot of you guys watching, the wedding look is a big part of what I'm tuned into for each person. So let's go through these dresses. Let's talk about these Married at First Sight wedding looks. Now, before we get into that, make sure that if you have not liked the channel and subscribed, that you do that. But yes, I want to get into these wedding looks so we can talk about our favorite dress. You guys let me know who you thought had the best dress this season. What was interesting to me is that a lot of the dresses were similar, right? They go in the store, and I don't know if it's because of the bridal boutique and the way they have things set up. This season was a little different because, like I said, all the dresses are a little similar. And then also they got engagement rings, which was really cool. So I don't know if there's a certain dollar amount that they get sponsored or what, but most of the dresses were a little similar this year. So let's start with, let's start with Stacia, because we're going to talk about her and Nate first once we get this out the way. So let's look at Sasha. Now, these pictures are not great. These are just pictures that I just kind of screen grabbed to talk about the dress. I think Sasha is, again, she's gorgeous. And so she looked absolutely beautiful on the wedding day. This is a great shot, I thought, of her gown. It's really it kind of has that princess vibe to it, because it starts small here at the top, and then it's like A-line, it gets bigger, and it's kind of that fairy tale princess look. I thought it would look really pretty on her. I thought it was it's a pretty dress. It's a pretty dress. We saw her trying things on, and I think it looked gorgeous on her. I really think that anything would probably look gorgeous on Sasha, honestly. But I loved her dress. One last look at this. This is kind of, you see the neckline is kind of like Sweetheart. It's got a little bit of lace there, and then it gets bigger after the waist, like an A-lining goes on. And I thought she looked really pretty. I'm gonna give her wedding dress, um, let's say a 7, because she had her hair down. It looked beautiful on her. I just think that as far as standing out and doing something a little different, I don't know, but I'm gonna give her a 7. I like the dress. I thought she looked gorgeous. I'm gonna give Sasha a 7. And now let's move on to Kristen. Kristen and Mitch, tie the knot, did their thing. And the hilarious thing, let's take a look at Kristen's dress. Now, this dress is similar to Sasha's dress, actually. Again, you guys see the lace at the top, and then it kind of goes into the bottom. Now, hers is not as flare. It doesn't do as dramatic a change from the bodies from the waist to the bodies, but it definitely kind of has that flare. The crazy thing about this is Kristen was not super glammed up. But Mitch was complaining, which we're gonna get into that. But I just thought that was hilarious. And her dress, her hair, it didn't really feel like she was really getting ready to get married. We see her talking to her father, and it just feels very casual. But ironically, the casual that we saw at her wedding was even too much for her groom, because he was like, just not really into this dress and the heels and the makeup and all that. So anyway, interesting thought. I'm going to give Kristen, and you know what's so crazy? Because I really expected more from Kristen because of the fact that she had been married before. Well, she was planning a wedding before, and she, had this big destination wedding plan with her friends, and they ended up going. So I thought she was going to come with like the super, like the bride, has arrived. But didn't really feel that. Didn't really feel that. I'm going to give her a 6. 5.56. I think she could have done a little bit more with her hair. I think her hair definitely could have looked more like wedding hair. That didn't really look like bridal hair. But again, maybe she's in sync with the guy that she was paired with. So I'm going to give her a 6. I'm actually going to bump Stacia up to an 8 because I'm giving Kristen a 6. Okay. Yes, my my scale was a little off. So let's move on to Alexa. Alexa is one of my favorites this season. And she has like the halter, well, the top downs where there's, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the basically it's sleeveless, right? So this was her dress. It looked really pretty on her. I think that she kind of wanted to look sexy. But it looked pretty. I did love her hair. Like Alexis' hair was everything. She had it like sleeked over to a side, and then it was up, but it really did look like like she had wedding hair for real. It looked beautiful with her veil. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I'm definitely gonna give her, I'm gonna give her an oh, whew. You know what? I'm going to give Alexa a 9 because I really like the dress. I also really like the fact that she went with the hair and the makeup, and it stood out. And I think it really fit her personality. So I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I thought she looked great. Moving on to Lindy. Lindy is also one of my favorites this season. And ironically, her dress, even though it's not like Stasha's and Kristen, it kind of is the same type of style because you see that like sweetheart neckline a little bit, and then it's smaller, and then it kind of flares out a little bit. She is just adorable. To me, she looks like a little doll in the face. She's got like a really cute smile. She's a really pretty girl. I thought she looked pretty. I thought that her hair and makeup was fitting for this dress, and it definitely lasted through, she looked amazing the entire wedding. The dress, I'm not super crazy about that dress. I think that her overall look was great, but I wasn't blown away. I was not blown away. Hey, Tiffany, I was not blown away by the dress. In fact, the dress to me leaves a little bit to be desired. It's just kind of plain. Let's look at it one more time, guys. It's kind of plain, but she pulls it off because she's so cute, but it's definitely kind of plain. Now, all right, the crazy thing is this is my favorite dress. And this dress is Morgan's, which we haven't even seen yet, but we saw, the pictures have been released online. People Magazine always does a big spread on the brides and the weddings and everything. And so this is Morgan's dress. I love it. I love everything. I love the dress. I love the veil. Um, the hair, I think, is wedding hair. I think she looked pretty. And I was really happy to see Morgan looking like that because Morgan is one of our like tomboys, our tough girls. And she looked very soft and pretty at the wedding. I loved it. And ironically, I am a little partial to the sleeveless gown because I got to show you guys my wedding picture. I got married last October and this was my dress. And so it kind of looks a little bit it's a little like that. It's not, you can't see the dress head on there. So it's kind of, it reminded me of my dress. But I liked her look. I thought she looked like a bride. It was really pretty. But anyway, so I'm going to say Lindy, I'm going to give her a 7 because she looked beautiful, but I just didn't love the dress. The dress was not my favorite. It just looked kind of boring to me. But she looked beautiful. So I'm going to give her a 7. I'm going to give Alexa, I'm going to give her a 9 because I think that hair, she understood the assignment when it came to, getting married and making sure I look the part when I'm there. But my girl, Morgan, I'm going to give her a 10 because I think she literally got everything right. The dress is awesome. It looks different than everyone else's. The hair, even the flowers, like I love her dress. Let's look again. Let's look one more time. Y'all, I could talk about wedding dresses all day, but I love it. How cute is that? Yes, jewelry, everything. You go, Morgan. This makes me feel like maybe Morgan will not, maybe she definitely has a girly side that we're just not seeing a lot of when it comes to her conversation. But in any case, we can't get into, hey, Kennedy, and thank you so much for joining the channel. You know what? I agree with you. I'm also rooting for Lindy and Miguel. Let's talk about them first because I got notes, guys. I watched, on Wednesday and I took notes because I was like, we got to get into these couples. As we know, Morgan and Ben are not going to be a part of this conversation outside the wedding dresses because they have not walked down the aisle. So that being said, I'm going to get with my sister Kennedy and we're going to go ahead and talk about Lindy and Miguel first, right? So Lindy and Miguel, number one, the experts this season, it seems like they are really paying attention. Now, we had some snafus and some hiccups in seasons past, right? And especially last season, like, I don't think any of those people are going to stay together. I do want to say that Vince and Brianna from Atlanta are having a baby, are expecting a baby. So yay, that's exciting. That's exciting news. Just a little side note. Brianna and Vince, we'll have to definitely have them on. I thought they were so cute. They were the only people that made it from their season and they're expecting a baby. So hopefully they're going to be like Woody and Amani and just be like this super couple that, we love to check in on and see their progress. So many other ones, Greg and his wife and their little baby. So I love when the love works on this show and we get a chance to see them growing together after we leave reality and we move on to real life. So let's talk about Lindy and Miguel. Like I said, the experts did their job. It almost seems like it's too good to be true because both of them have their PhDs. She is I think she's like does physical therapy for patients, and he used to be a scientist and now he actually does pharmaceutical sales, but they both are equally yoked. I talked about that last week. They're equally yoked when it comes to their education level and the fact that both of them have made their education a priority. And you see them really just enjoying it, enjoying the conversation. Lindy feels really comfortable with him. Now, there is a scene, and let's get into this. You guys, let me know what you thought about this. There is a scene where Lindy is talking to Miguel's sister, right? And Miguel's sister, you can tell that Miguel's sister is tired of her brother being used. She is tired of women that take advantage of the fact that he's a nice guy and that he's, kind of easygoing. And she was like, he just needs someone else who's going to put effort back into the relationship. To me, I felt like the sister was a little bit like, it's almost like she has PTSD because she was talking to Lindy and she was being very sweet, but you could tell that her guard is up when it comes to her brother. She also talked about the fact that they had a very difficult upbringing. And I was interested to see Lindy, definitely seemed like she had a lot of empathy for that. She said that she too had a very difficult upbringing. I'm assuming that those upbringings are going to be very different. Miguel's sister said they didn't really have parents, so they kind of had to parent themselves. Now, Lindy didn't really go into detail about what was so difficult about her upbringing, but we know that she comes from a very, very religious family, and that there was some discord in that and some rebellion on her part for that. So we'll learn more about what that looked like for them growing up. But she said, well, either we're going to bond from our trauma or it's going to tear us apart. Now that was a little bit of a flag for me, because you never want to trauma bond. She actually said either we're going to trauma bond or the trauma is going to take us apart. And I'm sure she was just talking about, trying to connect with his sister. You could see that she really was trying to make an impression on her. And she's genuinely, I think that Lindy is very authentic. Yes, she may be a lot for some people. She may have a different experience than a lot of people, but I think that she's very authentic. I think that she really wants her marriage to work. I don't know if she's ready really for the commitment level and the hardship that's going to take to merge with another person. But I think that she authentically wants that. Now, on the other side, Miguel was having a conversation with Lindy's mother and her brother. And her brother, knowing that her family is extremely religious and she does not necessarily ascribe to those beliefs any longer, the brother actually brings up religion. This is at the table, at the reception following the wedding. Her brother brings up the question. It's like, what are your beliefs? And so Miguel kind of tries to like dodge the question. Her brother comes right back in with a direct question and he has to answer. Well, Miguel does say that he does not believe in organized religion. He does not believe that one God or one faith is better than another. He's just kind of, it seems like he says he's not an atheist, but it seems like he just doesn't really believe like that. That could definitely be a problem. And you see it all over Lindy's brother's face. He said, this is very important to my family. Someone's going to be my little sister. We actually see a clip from next week that shows us that her brother is still asking questions and he's still, a little cautious with the responses that he's getting from Miguel. So I thought that was interesting. Now, this is either going to do one or two things. Lindy comes from a religious background, but she's kind of rebelled from it. But that still is how she was raised. And many of you know how you were raised is usually how you are. Even if you don't agree totally, the absence of, having some type of religious background or foundation could be a little bit much for her. I think that she will want to try it, but realistically, long term, that could be a real issue with the two of them. You guys know on this show, we've seen, and even other reality shows like religion, politics, and finances are huge things that often, drive people apart. But I don't know. We'll have to see how this goes. It really just depends on how Lindy is going to react to Miguel's, non-belief. Also, I wanted to point out that the sister that Lindy was talking to and that she really wanted to, you could tell she really wanted to make an impression on, was the only representative from Miguel's family. So there may be some issues there that we're not aware of. We know that Miguel has a friend group with his Dungeons and Dragons character people, the people that dress up in the characters like he does. But we didn't see a lot from his family. So that could be an issue. I agree. I agree. She may not be as religious as her family, but is she willing to go against family for her husband? Tiffany asked. And I agree. I think, yes, she's not as religious as her family, but again, that is the foundation that she's been brought up on. And again, I agree. Like going against your family, even though she may not be all the way immersed in it, is still very different to be with someone that is not at all a believer. So that can be difficult. I know I wouldn't want to be in that situation because I definitely, my Christian beliefs are a big part of who I am. So it would be hard for me to be with someone that is not. I do think that someone who has rebelled against their religion, it could be a little easier at first, but not long term. So we'll just have to wait and see with that. But other than that, they both like each other. I love the fact that they're both attracted to each other. Lindy said she's crushing on her husband, and he told her mom and her brother that the feelings are equally mutual, which I like to see. Like, it's hard to get a couple that both are super happy at the same time. But this couple, they both are equally attracted to each other. Lindy maybe a little bit more. And she's ready. She actually made a mention about Puerto Ricans being good in bed. Like, she's on one. She's excited. She's going head first. She's running to the fire. We'll see what happens as things progress. Predictions for the wedding night. I don't think that Lindy and Miguel are going to be intimate, but I do think that they're just going to be basking in this feeling. She was like, this is almost like this has been the best day of my life. This is a perfect situation. So I think they're going to really just be enjoying each other, more at the wedding night. I don't think that they're going to end up being intimate, though. What do you guys think? VR says raising kids may cause an issue with this religious. Exactly. Like, that's one of those things, like, down the line, even if you think it's okay right now, once it starts to affect the way you live your life, your lifestyle, that includes having children, decisions that are made. If one person has a spiritual background and the other one doesn't, that can really it can show up in a lot of different places later on. So I'm hoping that it won't. And I think that's the only thing that really could potentially be an issue with this couple, besides the fact that they both have familial trauma that we don't know about, right? And they obviously don't know that about each other. Miguel's sister was very, very insistent about the fact that there was a very, very traumatic upbringing, and we know that doesn't go anywhere. In fact, it's almost like traumatic upbringings, are dormant until you get in a relationship, and then all those issues just come to the surface. So keeping our fingers crossed. I think they're super cute, though. Literally, Lindy looks like a little doll. She's adorable, and Miguel is attractive. They're a really cute couple, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. In a perfect world, they would find their belief system together, right? But a lot of times with adults, people that are grown, not young, but you've been around for a little while, they're in their early 30s. You are who you are. You know what I mean? In the words of Jay-Z, you were who you were when you got here. So we'll see. All right, we got to move on, guys. Let's move on to Stacia and Nate. Stacia and Nate. Now, you guys, I said this before. Stacia is this very accomplished businesswoman. She's actually older than Nate. And if you guys remember the conversation, he asked her, did she request a younger guy? And she says no. And he says at first he wanted someone that was a lot younger. But then he was talking to one of the experts, and they said, well, you want this independent boss chick, which is good. That's a good sign, because that's definitely what he got. You may want to open up the parameters of the age that you requested, just in case. So he did. And obviously that was, that produced Stacia, right? Because she's older than he initially requested, but he did amend that. But my thing is this: we know that men and women matured at different paces. My concern is that not only is Stacia older than him in years, but also very much in maturity level. So that can be an issue. That can definitely be an issue. And Nate has a very free-spirited personality. So it's going to be interesting to see if Stasia's, no games, no fuss is going to be able to deal with Nate's laid back personality. Now we see some issues already have arisen. Nate was having a conversation with one of his friends, and this is a very pretty girl named Megan. Obviously, they're not together, but you could see on Sasha's face that she was a little concerned because Megan is sitting here talking about how amazing Nate is. Then she actually starts crying, right? Megan starts crying because she's moved by how good of a man Nate is. And then she actually makes a statement like, now he's not going to have as much time for friends. So Sasha's like, what's moving you? What's causing you to have all this emotion? And Megan is just like, oh, he's just such a great guy. Well, you could see in Stasha's eyes, the alarms went off. Maya says, I was concerned too. It was like a little bit like, have you guys messed around before? And I'm thinking to myself, like, this girl looks like probably a better fit for Nate than Stasha, just because they're friends. She knows his lifestyle. Like, what is the story with that? So Sasha in her confessional says that, she doesn't necessarily, there could be an issue with boundaries with Nate's friends. And we know she's talking about Megan, because it's very clear that she did not feel comfortable. And I'm not going to lie, I think I would have definitely, been a little thrown off at, the cute woman, the cute single woman here crying over my husband and how he's not going to be able to hang out and this is great. And then she's like, I know he loves to hike. I look forward to going hiking with you. Sasha didn't say she wanted to go hiking. Megan is just, it almost seemed like she was talking, but she was really hurt. So that's going to be interesting. But even more so is how Stacia is going to address it, if she addresses it. You guys know later on in the season, we always get a chance to see the friends come over to the house and see how the couple manages to like host an event for their friends and family. So I'm definitely sure that Megan will be popping back up. But I do wonder, like, whenever I see attractive people that are friends and care about each other that much, it does, make you wonder, like, why didn't you guys try to date or something? There's something to that story. We don't know what it is, but the fact that she was sitting there crying, I'm not saying that they messed around, but I just don't know. I don't know. Something's there. We got to keep an eye on Stacia and Nate. Mainly because, like I said, even outside of Megan, I just feel like their personalities are going to eventually clash. She's attracted to him right now. He's attracted to her. We know for Nate, that's super important. But Stacia definitely, she told him last week that she, her house doesn't look lived in. He obviously doesn't have that issue. And then this week we see that she's mentioning that however his friends are, the issues with the friends, he's going to have to set some boundaries. So Tiffany says Megan may be hurt because of regret he didn't pursue her, or maybe she secretly wished she was the wife. I think you're right. I think that she really, because for you to cry at your friend's wedding, and this is after the vows, everybody gets a little teary-eyed watching the vows and well, I do. But for her to be at that place at the reception afterwards, I agree with Tiffany that she really felt like that should have been her. And who knows what Nate felt, he didn't propose, but that doesn't say that there hasn't been anything happen before. A lot of times with guys and female friends, they could have been, cuddle buddies or some other stuff. Like, you just don't know where that came from. So I'm interested, and I definitely got my eye out. But the fact that Stacia picked up on it and she's like, he has to set boundaries, she's 100% right. But Nate is probably going to balk against that. I just want to go on record saying that Nate's going to have a problem with that. If she brings up anything about Megan, he's going to have an issue. He's going to have an issue, and we're going to see what happens. So we're keeping our eye on Stacia and Nate. I don't think that they're going to be intimate on the honeymoon night either, the wedding night either. Stacia pretty much said that she, wants to be intimate, but not right now. And I don't blame her. I understand that this is like, I cannot imagine going on that show, but I can understand someone thinking they would be okay with it, then getting to it's just awkward. It's got to be awkward. The cameras are there in your room looking at you guys. It's got to be awkward as crap. But anyway, I don't think that they're gonna. My vote is that they're not going to be intimate. The wedding night. I said the same thing with Lindy and Miguel. I think soon after, but I don't see that happening the first night. All right. Let's go on to Mitch and Kristen. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Mitch was thrown off pretty much the entire wedding because he felt like, Kristen was too dolled up. And he said, she just doesn't seem like a real person. Well, sir, did you understand that you were coming to a wedding? Like, that's what happens at weddings. I feel like Mitch is just like one of those people that finds problems where there's not. Like, there was not a problem. She came and she wasn't even really dolled up. Like, she was very casual for a bride. In my opinion. Let's look at her one more time. She, to me, was extremely casual. That is not super dolled up. No. She almost looks like she could have just been, except for the dress being white, she could have been someone else in the crowd. I'm not saying she didn't look beautiful, but she just didn't look over the top. It didn't look like there was a lot going on as far as makeup and just over the top falseness, which is what he kind of was like complaining about. He said she took off her high heels and seemed like a real person. Dude, and then her mother asked, this is another red flag, guys. Her mother asked, Kristen's mother asked Mitch, what did he think when he first saw Kristen? So I don't know if he was trying to like compliment the mother and kind of get in good with her, or he's just awkward as heck. But he says, well, at first he said, you're very beautiful and she gets it from you. And at first I thought that you were who I was marrying. Like, what? Who says that? And he never really came back and said, she's beautiful. Oh my God, your daughter. Like, he never really made up for that. He just kind of left it. He was like, I mean, yeah. But he never said the words. He said that she's traditionally, he didn't tell her mother this, but we see him in his confessional saying that Kristen is not the traditional type that he's usually attracted to, but he doesn't go on physical attraction. He goes more on personality. I think that's usually BS when it comes to men, because 9 times out of 10, men are physically motivated by a certain look, right? And I don't know that Kristen has that. I also think Mitch just likes to look for reasons to not be, he likes to be disagreeable, right? She is just talking a mile a minute and seems to like him very much. She mentioned specifically that she likes his mustache, she likes his bald head, she likes his lips. Like, she's in. She's 100% in. Mitch is, even like at the altar, he never really gave her, to me, the validation that he was nice and engaging, but he never was like, oh, you look beautiful. And a woman is always waiting to hear that. That's what her mother was waiting to hear when she said, what did you think when you first saw my daughter walk down the aisle? I don't know. Like I said, it could be, we'll have to get to know a little bit more about Mitch, but it could be that he was trying to impress the mom, or it could be that he really would be more attracted to the mother. Or it could be that, he's not really built for this, which is weird because so often this show gets people on it that want to be on TV. Obviously, if you sign up, you want to be on TV, but a lot of people are not really ready for it because they don't do well with the cameras. Mitch could be a person like that. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I agree. Hi, Kathy. How are you? I agree with Tiffany. It says there's really no nice way to say I'm not attracted to you unless you just say that, which one of the people in the next couple did. But finishing up with Mitch and Kristen, I think Kristen has expectations for marriage, period, because we know that she did have a situation. She feels like this is kind of righting the wrong that happened to her when she had a fiance. They were supposed to get married and she found out he was cheating on her. I feel like this for her is like making everything right. And I think she has some very high expectations for what she wants. And I just don't know that Mitch is going to be able or willing, ready, willing, or able to accommodate her desires. Like, I just don't know if that's going to be the case. Mitch seems like a person, like I said, that enjoys confrontation, or at least going against the grain. What they call him, the rebel, right? So he likes going against the grain, and this opportunity gives you a lot of this opportunity gives you several different ways to go against the grain. So I definitely don't see them being intimate the first night. Kristen is obviously physically attracted to Mitch. So I could even see her trying to make a move on him, or being a little bit more accommodating than some of the other ladies. But I don't see them consummating the marriage, the wedding night. I don't see that. In fact, I think that we're going to see there's not really a real consistent attraction coming from Mitch. Definitely is, from Kristen, and that's heartbreaking. I just hate, for me, I hate when the woman is super attracted to the guy and he's not attracted to her. It just never ever works out. It never works out. And you can always see it very clearly in their face when the woman walks down the aisle. If they're not happy with what they see, it's going to be a long season. And I just feel like in this season, it's going to be long. Like, you're complaining about her having on high heels at a wedding. No, it's not that. It's the fact that you're not attracted to something. And as many people have said on Twitter, like, Mitch should be happy to have Kristen because, to the rest of us, she looks like a great fit for him. But we all have our preferences and everything. So we're definitely going to keep our eyes on Mitch and Kristen. I think that they're definitely going to be one of the couples that has some early on issues. Mitch does not warm up to people quickly. He said that there was that little time where Mitch and Miguel actually met up in the bathroom, which was like kind of weird that they had the weddings happening at the same time. So they obviously staged that scene where Mitch and Miguel are in the restroom, like, hey, how's your wedding going? And they both are saying that everything is good. But Miguel, you can see, is super excited about Lindy. You don't see that same energy from Mitch. But, we'll see. But I definitely don't think that there was any sparks flying on that wedding night. No. That would be a no, which brings me to Justin and Alexa. Okay, now, Justin and Alexa, like I told you guys, I think that Alexa's gonna break Justin's heart. And I still feel that way. I said what I said. I feel that way still because you see Alexa says, in this episode that she tells Justin, I like you. She's like, I think that you're a good balance for me, right? Whenever someone says that the person is a good balance, that means this is different than what I wanted. This probably is what I needed, right? She also says very clearly that she was not attracted to Justin when she saw him when she was walking down the aisle. Now, she says his personality, he's made her feel very comfortable. And after learning about the man that he is from his family and friends, she said she felt bad for even, focusing on the fact that she wasn't physically attracted to him. But this is one thing that I do know about physical attraction, right? When you're in a relationship, relationships are not perfect, and there's always so many things that go wrong. If you start out with someone that you already are physically not attracted to, as the marriage goes on, the relationship goes on, and you start to get to know that person and their little issues rub you the wrong way, there is the fact that you're not attracted to them is going to make all those little issues seem way bigger, right? Especially if it's to that point. Now, it's different if you say, okay, well, the guy is maybe a few inches taller than I would have liked, or maybe he doesn't have he's got a nice build, but it's not as ripped up, or but when you say I looked at the person and I wasn't attracted to them, that's a little bit different. Also, I don't know what you guys think. You can let me know in the chat, please do. But when I saw Justin, and Alexa together after the wedding and after the reception, they look really cute, taking pictures. They were kissing. They were very, very physical, right? But when they got in the bed, you could tell Justin, I think Justin may be a little awkward. We know he's been celibate for a year and a half. We know that Alexa did not really, she wasn't super excited to hear that. Um, and that could be an issue, but I think that Justin seemed a little awkward. And even when he was like taking her dress off, I just think he's awkward. And I think that she's not going to, her not being physically attracted to him is going to become bigger. It's going to become bigger because he's going to keep doing things that make her focus on it. And I just don't know. I don't know if that's going to be great. So we saw at the wedding, Alexa go over and talk to Justin's friends, right? And the friend is like, "Are you a ride or die?" And she was like, "Yeah, die is a little bit serious, but she's very comfortable in her own skin." And what I do like about Alexa, she's not going to lie. That's why she's the only person that said, I wasn't really attracted to him when I first walked down the aisle. He's not really my type. She said he was uncomfortably tall. And it makes sense that Justin would rub off on her right now because he's being so sweet. He's just caught up. Like I put here that Justin I wrote down, Justin is in happy land. Like Justin is crying. I mean, he's like got a big grilled cheese smile. His brother, actually comes over and gives him like kind of an apology for like questioning the marriage and that kind of thing, because he can see that his brother is super happy. You can see, I mean, his whole demeanor, he's just extremely attracted and very, very happy to be with Alexa. I don't think that her energy is going to stay at the same place that long. I could be wrong. I hope that I am wrong. The two of them, I think if anybody had a chance of probably being intimate on the first night, I could see that being them, just because Alexa, said that she's cool with it. Justin is very attracted. And if he really was celibate for a year and a half, he may not be able to hold himself, now that he's in a situation with a woman that is there with him, and there's not going to be any questions about his package. I'm a little concerned. I do want to go on the record and say I'm a little concerned about that, because whenever a guy is worried about women's perception of his sexual equipment, usually there's a problem with it. So I hate to say that, but I got to be real with y'all. I'm a little concerned. Okay. I am a little concerned about what Justin's going to have under them covers. And what Alexa's expectations would be. We also saw Justin talking to her sisters, and her sisters. One of the things I like about her sisters is he asked for any red flags, and they were like, we'll never tell. Like, and I'm like, thank you, because who does that? Who tells the other part? Like, you could warn the person, not warn them in a bad way, but say, hey, she's like this, or she's going to like that. But as far as like telling the bad points to someone, I wouldn't, because they may not even see it that way. So I appreciated her sisters being real sisters and keeping it real and being like, we're not telling you our sister's bad points. You're going to have to find those out. And we know that they're coming because she's the only she's the baby of the family. She's very spoiled. And as you guys saw, all her guy friends were at the wedding. So she goes over and her friends are all guys. It's hilarious. So that's definitely going to be an issue. I don't, hopefully nobody sleeps together the first night, because that doesn't always work out well with this show. Sometimes, especially if there's not attraction on both sides. But I think out of everybody, they probably have the best chance. And then I would say after that would be Lindy and Miguel, right? Mitch, I don't think will allow anything to happen on his end. And Stacia, I don't think will allow anything to happen on her end. I think that those personalities are not the kind that just kind of go with the flow. Like Mitch does not go with the flow, and neither does Sasha. So I think that Kristen probably would be down and Mitch would not do it. I think Nate we know Mr. Get on Your Knees, Nate would definitely be down, but I think that Sasha's not going to let that go. Lindy and Miguel, I don't think, but I would give them the closest, the runner-up position. And then, like I said, Justin and Alexa, I could see it happening. Actually, if it happens and it's good, it may make her more attracted to him, which could be a good thing. But it also could go the wrong way. It also could go wrong. So anyway, that's my recap. I'm looking forward to seeing Ben and Morgan. I don't know if they're going to, what I think they're going to both be attracted to each other when they first see each other at the wedding. We're going to have to see how their families mesh and interact and all that kind of stuff. I'm a little concerned about that couple, like I said last week, because of the fact that Morgan is so take charge, and I don't know that Ben will be prepared for that, but we'll get a chance to see them get together soon. I'm hoping that obviously Ben will get over the COVID. He'll be get over the COVID, and then we'll get a chance to see their wedding, even though they're getting a late start. As a comparison to other couples, we saw that Morgan was actually a little bit bothered by it, because I could get that, because like when you get super excited about something and you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it doesn't happen, and it doesn't, like today I was supposed to do a video interview, and we had planned it. It was going to be amazing at this house and this stuff, and then my director actually had COVID, so we had to cancel, and it's just like all this is planned out, but better that he canceled it than everybody came and got sick. So in the same token, at least Ben, was able to cancel and they can get married later. But I know that Morgan is probably like, oh, I was waiting for this moment and now I'm supposed to be married and I'm not, because of COVID. COVID has changed everybody's life and continues to. So that's my recap for this week. Again, I enjoy going through the wedding dresses with you guys. Let me know whose wedding dress in the comments below. Let me know whose wedding dress you like the best. And let me know what your predictions are for the wedding night. Wedding night nuptials. Anybody getting it in? You think anybody's going to get it in? You think anybody is going to get into it? I think it's going to go really smooth. I think that these couples, I do think that experts did a much better job this season. So we're going to see what happens. Midway through, we'll be able to know, because even if they don't work out, at least we can understand why the couples were matched. Like it makes perfect sense, right? So yes, thanks guys for hanging out. Can't wait to see more of Morgan's dress, since that was my favorite pick. Like I said, please leave your picks in the comments. Let me know whose dress you enjoyed the most, and let me know who you think is going to consummate the marriage on the wedding night, if at all. Thank you, Tiffany. I enjoy that dress. It's so funny, because when you put on a wedding dress, you just I just knew that was the one. I was like, okay, this was it. This was it. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out. I will be right back here next weekend for more Married at First Sight episode 4. But I want you guys to please tune in tomorrow night, because I am talking to the one and only Charlemagne the God. He's going to be here. I've interviewed him before, but we're talking about his new show and just asking him some questions on what's going on in pop culture and his opinion. He's a brilliant mind, so I love the opportunity to get a chance to chat with him. And then I'm going to be doing reviews also on Ready to Love, so make sure you're tuned in and ready for that. We got to get all up into that. It actually starts this Friday, Ready to Love. So Wednesday we tweet with Married at First Sight, and then Friday we get into it with Ready to Love. So I love you guys. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you guys tomorrow night right here on From Christal XO.